The grand assembly of the Galactic Conclave sparkled like a jewel suspended in space, its crystalline spires reflecting the light of distant stars. Inside, amid the ornate chambers designed to showcase the power of 1,000 civilizations, Ambassador Elena Chen stood motionless. Her simple black uniform contrasted sharply with the elaborate attire of the alien delegates surrounding her. The latest vote had just concluded. Once again, the conclave had denied humanity's petition for unrestricted access to deep space exploration routes. The official reason: humans were too unpredictable to be trusted with such responsibility. Senior Arbiter Vexthor, a towering figure with iridescent scales, loomed over the central podium. His secondary eyes blinked in what Elena had learned was a gesture of smug satisfaction. The petition is denied by a vote of 912 to 83. The human delegation may now present their response. Elena's hand brushed against the neural interface at her temple, a piece of technology the conclave believed was merely decorative. They had no idea it connected her to humanity's quantum network, linking her consciousness with millions of others across the galaxy. Through it, she could feel the collective patience of her species finally reaching its end. Honored members of the conclave, Elena began, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of human frustration. For 300 years, we have participated in your assembly. We have followed your rules, respected your traditions, and contributed to the greater good of galactic society. The chamber hummed with the subtle vibrations of translation devices as her words were conveyed in 100 different languages. Elena continued, knowing that what she was about to say would change everything. We have watched as you dismissed our warnings about the void storms in the Carina sector, leading to the loss of 3 colony worlds. We observed as you attributed our quantum tunneling discoveries to lucky accidents. We remained silent as you classify our neural interface technology as primitive imitations of your own systems. The ambient temperature in the chamber seemed to drop as Elena's words hung in the air. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others maintained their usual air of superiority, clearly expecting another hollow human protest. Today, we will demonstrate what humanity has become while you were busy underestimating us. Elena reached up and removed her translation device. The simple action sent ripples of shock through the assembly. No species had ever dared to break protocol in such a manner. Around the chamber, every human representative did the same. In perfect synchronization, they placed their devices on their pedestals and stood in absolute silence. Through the neural network, Elena could feel the cascade of commands being initiated across human space. First came the trading vessels. Thousands of human ships, scattered across the galaxy, simultaneously shut down their communication systems. Their transponders went dark. Their registration beacons fell silent. Yet they continued to move with precise, coordinated purpose. Next were the colonies. Human settlements across hundreds of worlds ceased all standard communications with their alien neighbors. Mining operations, research stations, and agricultural centers continued to function but maintained absolute silence. Finally, the hidden fleets emerged. Vessels using technology the conclave had deemed impossible revealed themselves briefly before vanishing again. Ships that could bend light around their hulls, engines that left no energy signature, weapons that could tear holes in space itself. The chamber erupted in chaos as reports flooded in. Elena watched as the mighty conclave, which had dismissed humanity for so long, began to understand the true scope of their mistake. We have learned much from our time among the stars, Elena announced, her voice cutting through the pandemonium without any translation device. She spoke in perfect galactic standard, another capability humans had hidden. But our greatest lesson was understanding that true power lies not in what you show, but in what you choose to conceal. The human delegation moved as one toward the chamber's exit. Their footsteps echoed in perfect rhythm, a sound that would haunt the dreams of many delegates for years to come. Just before passing through the doors, Elena turned back to address the assembly one final time. You have 3 standard days to consider your position regarding humanity's role in galactic affairs. After that, we will demonstrate capabilities that will make today's revelation seem insignificant in comparison." The doors sealed behind them with a quiet hiss, leaving the conclave in stunned silence. Through her neural link, Alina could sense the synchronized actions of humanity unfolding across the galaxy. A dance of silence and shadow that had been centuries in the planning. As she boarded her ship, Alina allowed herself a small smile. The conclave had always treated humans as children playing with borrowed toys. They were about to learn that humanity had long since outgrown their nursery. High Counselor Zixna paced the secure chamber of the Emergency Response Center, her crystalline form pulsing with agitated colors. Before her, a vast holographic display showed the unprecedented crisis unfolding across conclave space. Every human ship, station, and colony had gone dark simultaneously, yet continued to operate with an efficiency that defied explanation. "Show me the Arcturus trading hub again," she commanded. The display shifted, revealing a major commercial nexus where dozens of species typically conducted commerce. The alien vessels were still there, carrying on their business, but the human ships moved among them like ghosts, visible to the eye yet completely invisible to sensors. A junior analyst, a methane-breathing Crixian, floated forward. "High Counselor, we've detected something unusual in the behavior patterns of the human vessels. They're not just moving randomly." The display zoomed in on a cluster of human ships. Their movements were precise, almost mathematical. As the assembled officials watched, the vessels began to arrange themselves in complex geometric patterns that shifted and evolved like living art. "It's a language," announced Dr. Veltar, the conclave's leading xenolinguist. The aged mantid's antennae twitched with excitement and fear. "They're communicating through movement itself. Each formation change transmits information that can be seen but not intercepted." Zixna felt her crystalline structure vibrate with concern. "How many ships are participating in these dances?" "That's the problem, High Counselor," the Crixian analyst responded. "We keep finding more. Our initial count suggested a few thousand vessels, but we've discovered they can somehow mask their visual presence as well. Current estimates suggest their fleet might number in the tens of thousands." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The conclave had always believed they knew the full extent of human military and commercial power. Their intelligence services had reported a modest fleet of a few hundred ships, mostly using technology borrowed or adapted from other species. A new alert flashed across the display. "High Counselor," called out a security officer, "we're detecting unusual activity at the Quantum Archive." The Quantum Archive was the conclave's most secure facility, a vast repository of the galaxy's most advanced scientific knowledge. It was supposed to be impenetrable, protected by technologies that most species couldn't even comprehend. The display showed the archive's exterior. Nothing seemed amiss, yet something felt wrong. Zixna studied the image carefully before realizing what was bothering her. The quantum fluctuation patterns around the archive had changed. They were more ordered, more structured, as if. "They're already inside," she whispered. "They've been inside all along." As if in response to her words, the archive's external displays activated, showing the simple message in Galactic Standard. "Thank you for sharing. We've made some improvements." "Impossible," Dr. Veltor chittered. "The archive's security systems are based on principles humans shouldn't even be able to understand, let alone manipulate." A new voice spoke from the shadows of the chamber. "Perhaps it's time we reconsidered our assumptions about human capabilities." The assembled officials turned to face Archon Selthor, one of the oldest members of the conclave. The ancient being's form shifted between states of matter as it moved forward, a living demonstration of the advanced evolution of its species. "We have made a grave mistake," the Archon continued. "We saw humans as primitive because they didn't match our expectations of advancement. We never considered that they might have taken a different path entirely." The holographic display suddenly shifted, showing new images from across conclave space. Human colonies that had seemed simple and primitive were transforming. Cloaking fields dissolved, revealing vast technological complexes. Agricultural worlds showed signs of environmental engineering far beyond what the conclave had achieved. Mining operations demonstrated resource extraction techniques that seemed to defy physics itself. "Look at how they've hidden this," Zixna marveled. "Every human achievement we've dismissed, every warning we've ignored. They were showing us only what they wanted us to see, and now they're showing us what they can do." The Archon added, "But I suspect we're still only seeing the surface." Another alert sounded. The display showed a human diplomatic vessel approaching the conclave's central station. It moved with impossible grace, its hull seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. A transmission arrived, the first direct human communication since their dramatic exit from the assembly. The message was brief. "We're ready to talk. This time, we suggest you listen." Zixna studied the human ship, noting how it seemed to exist in multiple states at once, visible yet unseeable, present yet ghost-like. In that moment, she understood the true message humanity had been sending. They hadn't just mastered the physical sciences, they'd transcended them. "Prepare the High Council chamber," she ordered, "and this time, we will meet them as equals." As the officials rushed to comply, Zixna couldn't help but wonder what other surprises humanity had been concealing. They had just demonstrated mastery over physics, energy, and communication that rivaled or exceeded the conclave's greatest achievements. Yet something told her this was just the beginning of what humanity could do. The human ship waited patiently in space, its mere presence a reminder that the galaxy's balance of power had shifted forever. The age of conclave supremacy was over. The question now was what would take its place. Admiral Senajong stood on the bridge of the Terran vessel Quantum Dawn, watching as her fleet executed another perfect formation change. Without a single transmitted command, thousands of ships moved in harmony, their patterns telling a story that only humans could read. The display before her showed the reactions of the various conclave observation posts. Confusion, fear, and growing respect. "They're finally starting to understand," her second-in-command, Captain Maya Rodriguez, noted. Like everyone else in the fleet, she was connected to the quantum neural network that linked all of humanity. Their thoughts flowed together in a symphony of consciousness that the conclave's rigid hierarchies could never comprehend. "Understanding isn't enough," Senna responded, both verbally and through the network. "They need to accept that the galaxy is ready for change." Around them, the bridge crew worked in perfect silence, their movements synchronized through the neural link. The Quantum Dawn itself was a testament to how far humanity had come. Its hull was made of materials that could shift between states of matter, its engines bent space-time itself, and its computer systems were based on quantum consciousness rather than simple processing. A ripple of awareness passed through the neural network. The humans stationed throughout conclave space have detected something. A secret meeting of the highest-ranking conclave officials. They were gathering in a supposedly undetectable location, hidden behind layers of security that they believed impenetrable. Senna smiled. Time for the next demonstration. Across the galaxy, human vessels began a new dance. This time, they moved in patterns that seemed to fold space itself. The conclave's sensors registered impossible readings as human ships appeared to exist in multiple locations simultaneously, their quantum states undefined until observed. In the secret meeting chamber, the conclave's leaders had gathered to discuss the human situation. They sat around a table made of pure energy, their various forms representing the peak of their species' evolution. None of them noticed as the quantum fabric of reality around them subtly shifted. "We cannot allow this challenge to our authority," declared Supreme Arbiter Voxthul, their energy form crackling with agitation. "The humans must be." "Must be what?" Elena Chen's voice filled the chamber as she stepped out of what appeared to be thin air. The human ambassador hadn't been transported there. She had always been there, existing in a quantum state that the conclave's security systems couldn't detect. The leaders recoiled in shock. Their most secure facility had been penetrated as if its defenses didn't exist. Elena walked calmly to the table, her neural interface glowing softly. "While you've been plotting how to maintain your power," she continued, "humanity has been preparing for something far more important. We've detected a threat approaching galactic space, something ancient and terrible that your sensors haven't noticed yet." She waved her hand, and the energy table transformed into a holographic display, showing something that made the conclave leaders draw back in horror. Vast, dark shapes moved between the stars, distorting space itself around them. "We call them the Void Hunters," Elena explained. "They consume entire civilizations, breaking down not just matter and energy, but the fundamental laws of physics in their wake. They're why we developed our technologies in secret, why we learned to exist between states of reality, why we created the neural network that unites our species." Through the quantum network, Senna could feel the impact of Elena's words. Across human space, millions of minds focused on this moment, ready to reveal the full extent of their preparations. "You saw our ships moving in formation," Elena continued. "What you didn't realize is that each pattern strengthens a quantum barrier we've been building around the galaxy. Every human vessel, every colony, every individual connected to our network is part of a vast defense system." The holographic display shifted, showing an intricate web of quantum connections spanning the galaxy. The human ships weren't just flying in patterns. They were weaving a shield of altered reality that could protect all sapient life from the approaching threat. "We tried to warn you about this through official channels," Elena said, her voice carrying centuries of frustrated concern. "Every petition for expanded exploration rights, every request for deeper cooperation, they were attempts to prepare the galaxy for what's coming. But you dismissed us as primitive, forced us to work in secret." The conclave leaders sat in stunned silence as the full implications became clear. Humanity hadn't developed their technologies to challenge the conclave's authority. They had done it to save everyone. Through the neural network, Senna felt the next phase begin. Across the galaxy, human ships began to pulse with energy that defied conventional physics. The quantum barrier strengthened, becoming visible to normal space as a subtle iridescence between the stars. "Now you have a choice," Elena announced to the gathered leaders. "Continue treating us as children playing with borrowed toys, or join us as equals in the fight for survival. But understand this, we will protect this galaxy with or without your help. The only question is whether your pride is worth the cost of remaining ignorant." The chamber fell silent except for the soft hum of quantum fluctuations. In that moment, the future of galactic civilization hung in the balance, waiting for the conclave's response to humanity's ultimate revelation. The conclave's emergency council chamber had never seen such chaos. Representatives from 1,000 species argued as the evidence of the Void Hunters' approach played on endless loops across the chamber's curved walls. Some demanded immediate military action, others called for mass evacuation of threatened systems, and many simply sat in stunned silence. Archon Selthor, his form shifting between states of plasma and crystal, raised all four of his primary appendages for attention. "The humans speak the truth. Our deep space sensors have confirmed their data. The Void Hunters are real, and they will reach our outer systems within 2 standard years." Supreme Arbiter Voxthal's energy form pulsed with anger. "And we're supposed to trust these humans. They've deceived us for centuries." "No," a new voice cut through the chamber. "We didn't deceive you. We survived you." Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's leading quantum physicist, stepped onto the central platform. Unlike her sister Elena, who handled diplomacy, Sarah's role had been to develop the technologies that had kept humanity ahead of the conclave's restrictions. "Every advancement we made," she continued, "came from necessity. When you restricted our access to standard faster-than-light technology, we developed quantum tunneling. When you limited our communication networks, we created the neural interface. When you contained our expansion, we learned to hide our colonies in dimensional pockets." The chamber's displays shifted, showing the true extent of human advancement. Hidden research stations phased into normal space, revealing facilities that had been operating for decades in parallel dimensions. Quantum shields flickered and dropped, exposing vast cities that existed in multiple states simultaneously. Most importantly, Sarah added, when we detected the Void Hunters 50 years ago, we began preparing while you dismissed our warnings as primitive sensor malfunctions. Through her neural link, Sarah could feel humanity's collective focus intensify. Across the galaxy, human ships and stations began powering up systems that had remained dormant for decades. The quantum barrier protecting the galaxy strengthened, its iridescent shimmer now visible even to conventional sensors. High Counselor Zixna moved forward, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light. You said we have 2 years. What exactly happens then? Sarah gestured, and the chamber's displays merged into a single massive simulation. The Void Hunters don't just destroy matter, they unravel reality itself. They consume the quantum probability fields that make existence possible. Conventional weapons are useless against them because they exist in a state that our normal physics can't affect. The simulation showed a Void Hunter approaching a star system. As it passed, planets didn't just die. They ceased to have ever existed. The very history of space-time collapsed in their wake. But you have a solution, Arkan Selfor stated, his ancient mind grasping the implications. Your ships, your quantum barrier. They're not just for defense. Sarah nodded. We've developed weapons that can affect quantum probability itself, but deploying them requires a level of coordination that no single species can achieve alone. That's why we created the neural network, why we learned to move our ships in perfect synchronization. Through her link, Sarah sensed the next phase beginning. Human vessels across the galaxy began moving into new formations, more complex than anything they'd shown before. The patterns they created weren't just for communication now. They were laying the groundwork for the largest quantum manipulation ever attempted. The Void Hunters feed on division, Sarah explained. They target civilizations that are fractured, using the natural quantum instabilities caused by conflicting technological approaches. A unified galaxy, operating on harmonized quantum principles, would be much harder for them to consume. The implications of her words rippled through the chamber. The Conclave's greatest strength, its diversity of species and approaches, could become its greatest weakness against this threat. Unless you're not just asking for cooperation, Zixna realized. You're offering to share your quantum network technology, to link all our species together. Yes, Sarah confirmed, but it has to be voluntary. Forced connections create quantum distortions that the Void Hunters can exploit. Every species must choose to join the network, to share their consciousness while maintaining their individuality. The chamber erupted in discussion again, but this time the tone was different. Fear and anger were being replaced by something else. Hope. Through her neural link, Sarah could sense human ships continuing their complex dance through space, each movement strengthening the quantum barrier that represented their species' gift to the galaxy. Supreme Arbiter Voxthal's energy form had dimmed, their earlier anger replaced by reluctant understanding. How many species need to join for your defense to work? All of them. Sarah answered simply. The quantum barrier must be complete. One gap, one species choosing to remain separate, could doom everyone. That's why we're revealing everything now. That's why we're trusting you with the truth about our capabilities. She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the gathered representatives. We don't want to leave the galaxy. We don't want to rule or dominate. We want to connect, to create something greater than any single species could achieve alone. Humanity spent centuries advancing in secret, not because we wanted to prove our superiority, but because we were preparing for this moment, when the galaxy would need to stand together or face extinction. Through the neural network, Sarah felt a surge of unity from humanity. Their ship's movements became even more precise, the quantum barrier strengthening further. They were ready. The only question was, Would the rest of the galaxy join them? One by one, the great civilizations of the galaxy made their choice. The crystalline collective was first, their entire species linking into the human quantum network in a cascade of shimmering consciousness. The energy beings of the Vox Confederation followed, their thoughts adding new dimensions to the expanding web of shared awareness. Ambassador Elena Chen stood on the observation deck of Humanity's Hope, the massive station that served as the hub for the quantum network. Through the transparent quantum steel walls, she could see ships from 1,000 species moving in the intricate patterns that humans had perfected over centuries. But now, they weren't just human vessels in the dance. Ships of every design and origin joined the formation, learning to exist in the space between conventional reality. The mantid hives have joined, her sister Sarah announced, both verbally and through the network. That makes 812 species now linked, 188 to go. Elena nodded, feeling the collective consciousness expand with each new addition. The quantum barrier around the galaxy was strengthening exponentially, its iridescent surface now clearly visible from any point in space. But more importantly, the divisions between species were beginning to heal. Through the network, she could sense the amazing exchanges taking place. The crystallines shared their understanding of light and energy manipulation. The Vox offered insights into existing beyond physical form. The mantids contributed their mastery of biological engineering, and humanity's quantum technologies served as the framework that made it all possible. Incoming transmission from the Void Edge, a technician announced. The main display activated, showing the furthest reaches of charted space. The Void Hunters were visible now, massive distortions in reality that consumed everything in their path. But they had slowed their approach. They sensed the change, Sarah observed. The quantum harmonics are affecting them already. The display shifted, showing something unprecedented. The Void Hunters were attempting to communicate. Their message came not in words or images, but in fluctuations of quantum probability. They're not hunters, Elena realized, the combined insight of nearly 1,000 linked species helping her understand. They're refugees. They're running from something even they fear. Through the vast network of joined consciousness, knowledge and understanding flowed. The Void Hunters were the remains of a civilization that had tried to fight the cosmic entropy alone. They had failed, their reality unraveling until they became the very thing they sought to escape. Now they consumed other civilizations not out of malice, but in a desperate attempt to gather enough quantum energy to restore their original form. "We can help them," Sarah whispered, her mind already working on the calculations. "With the combined knowledge of the galaxy, we can stabilize their quantum state, show them how to exist in harmony with normal spacetime." Elena felt the ripple of agreement flow through the network. Species that had been bitter enemies days ago now worked together, sharing insights and energy. The great dance of ships changed its pattern, creating a quantum resonance that reached out to the approaching entities. For a moment, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, slowly, the Void Hunters began to change. Their reality-consuming forms started to coalesce into something new. Still massive, still powerful, but no longer destructive. They were becoming what they had once been, guardians of the space between realities. "The remaining species are joining the network," Sarah reported. "They see what we can accomplish together." Elena smiled, feeling the last barriers between civilizations dissolve. The quantum network hummed with the thoughts and dreams of every sapient being in the galaxy. But instead of chaos, there was harmony, unity without uniformity, connection without loss of self. Humanity kept its secrets for centuries. She broadcast to the unified consciousness of the galaxy, not because we wanted to hide, but because we were waiting for this moment. We knew that true strength wouldn't come from superior technology or military might. It would come from bringing all of us together, from teaching the stars themselves to listen and respond. The transformed Void Hunters moved into formation with the ships of 1,000 species, their once destructive energy now adding to the quantum barrier that protected all life. The galaxy had changed forever, not through conquest or competition, but through the simple act of choosing to connect. In the space between thoughts, where the quantum network linked all consciousness, Alina felt the truth that humanity had discovered centuries ago. The greatest power in the universe wasn't the ability to destroy or dominate. It was the capacity to unite, to transform, and to grow beyond what any single species could imagine alone. The stars listened, and the galaxy danced, and in the quantum spaces between reality, a new age began.